There you go, Tim Surrett holding it down on the show floor, man. You're talking about the different size of my eyes. Dude, your wig has never looked better. GameSpot's live coverage of E3 2000 continues. We've got a few games left before they shut this thing down and we are done with this show. But before they do that, we're going to show you guys something that, well, you haven't seen yet. You haven't seen anything like this yet. We're talking about Splatterhouse, and we've got two guests with us. We've got Jason Enos and Dan Tovar, the associate producer on the game. Welcome to the show, guys. Happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
I got to say, I'm a little squeamish. Am I going to be okay during this demo?
I hope not.
Okay, yeah, that's your goal, is to make me sick.
That's right, yeah. We plan on triggering some gag reflexes with this game.
I've got a bucket right
okay,
down here.
I was going to say, you got
no
your
problem.
bucket ready?
All right, so Splatterhouse, obviously a famous name in the video game world. You guys are bringing it back for 2010. Tell me all about this game.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring back the Splatterhouse franchise. It's a re-envisioning of the classic arcade game from back in the 80s, and there was a couple sequels on the Genesis in the early 90s. So, you know, we're just doing it bigger and badder, bloodier. You play as Rick Taylor. He's a normal college student before he puts the mask on. He and his girlfriend Jennifer go to the West Mansion to interview this mysterious Dr. West, who's a nefarious scientist type. And basically everything goes wrong. These monsters attack him. They mortally wound Rick, kidnap Jennifer. And you know, Rick has to put this mask on in order to stay alive. And it transforms him, heals his wounds, and gives him all these powers.
A couple things here. Why would you ever mess with a mad scientist? That's always bad news. A girl and a guy together are inevitably going to get split up, and masks always have magic powers.
That's right.
You've hit all three of the posts.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like the girl always has to trip in the horror flick,
Exactly.
right?
Why would you go down in the basement?
Yeah.
The basement is
Don't
a scary
do it.
place. So this is ridiculous. What's going on screen here? What's going on here? Madness.
So yeah, the main tenet of the game is more blood is more power. So as you can see, we got copious amounts of blood flying everywhere. The attacks that you do are there to generate, you know, mayhem and carnage. So you have smaller attacks that will keep guys at bay, but only generate small amounts of blood. But then you have larger attacks that you can charge up and unleash on the enemies, and you basically burst them alive. And everything kind of leads up to the culmination, which is our splatter kill system, which is the gnarliest, most brutal, violent ways to render these guys into multiple pieces, and thus generating the most amount of blood.
Now, Rick has this mask that obviously transforms him into this creature that we're seeing. He's not invulnerable though, right?
That's right, that's right. You know, he's very powerful, but he is not invincible. The mask is the source of the power, so if you get decapitated, you get separated from the mask, you know, that's it, game over. And, you know, we have enemies that are massive, you know, are like 16 times the size of Rick. So if you get smashed by one of those guys, you know, it's game over.
Did he just lose an arm there?
He does. You know, weapons are a big part of this game. So we wanted to kick it up a notch, and that's where the dismemberment comes into play. So as you can see, he's got two arms, but only one of them is attached to his body.
Right.
You can also dismember the enemies. You can knock a guy down, tear his head off, and chuck it at another guy across the room, or you know, tear the arm off of those guys. And the weapons will also be used in order to sever limbs and heads.
And the other thing cool about the if you lose your arm is that, again, the power of the blood will actually help you regenerate that arm, and you see that regeneration in real time.
His arm grew back. Is that something you control, or does that happen automatically?
The arm will grow back automatically over a few seconds, but mostly it's controlled by the player. So you collect enough blood and you can repurpose it in order to attack enemies, you know, redirecting the necrotic energy back at them, or you can use it strategically to regenerate your own health. He basically takes damage in real time, and you'll get his ribs and spine and organs exposed, multiple damage states, so you can basically see what he had for lunch, you know, earlier in the day.
So he can get pretty close to death. He can actually die, but he can also get pretty close to death and survive it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice. All right, so what are we doing here? He's
Yeah,
open
these
a
are,
living
we have
door or something?
That's right, it's a wall of dead basically. Everything in the mansion and the environments is organic. It's very, very much alive. You know, this energy is spilling in from this other dimension that Dr. West has contacted and opened this rift to. So it's corrupting everything that it touches, and it's bringing the environments to life.
So tell me about the different enemies. We've seen some smaller enemies, some bigger enemies. Tell me what we can expect to face.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the demons are kind of spilling in from the other dimension, so you encounter those monsters. The energy is corrupting the stuff in our world, so that's where a lot of the zombies come from. And then in addition to that, you have the experiments gone wrong that Dr. West has been conducting in the mansion itself. So you have a wide variety of different kind of monsters And the environment itself, the mansion is alive. It's basically trying to kill Rick. So I mean, that winds up being a giant enemy in and of itself. And a lot of the, like I said, the challenges and the obstacles are kind of organic. So you have this giant mouth that you have to feed, and it basically belches up what you just like threw down its mouth, and then you have to like walk through the gastrointestinal tract in order to progress.
You guys, nothing left on the design table here, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So, you know, obviously the 3 games before this, you know, a lot of great boss characters in there that the fans love, and those are well represented throughout the game. It's really kind of reimagining the whole Splatterhouse universe, but telling kind of the original Splatterhouse, but weaving in all the other things and adding new stories.
That was going to actually be my next question. There are nods back to the older games.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we use the original games as a kind of design roadmap in order to stay on target and keep ourselves focused. You know, we want to make sure the fans of the original games are getting all that they want out of the experience. You know, there's a lot of iconic, you know, the sound effects, the music, the character design, the levels themselves. So, you know, we had to pay special attention to that kind of stuff and bring it back in a 3D environment for modern generation.
An interesting look at this game. It goes from color to these real stark black and white images, but Rick always stays color. Can you tell me about the design there?
Yeah, right now he's in the berserk mode, and the splatter maneuvers and attacks are based on the mass power. So it kind of, we play around with the contrast in order to make the blood pop out as if you couldn't see it enough the rest of the time, you know. So that's kind of an indication to the player of where you're at with the move set.
Do you have any sort of way to customize him?
The blood itself will allow you to progress as a character and as a player. So you can, the blood is like twofold purpose. One is you can redirect it and use it to your strategic advantage. On the other side of it, it kind of acts as experience points. And as you're feeding the mass more and more blood, it allows you to unlock more abilities and stronger combos. And there's a little bit of player customization there. You can kind of pick and choose which attacks you're going to upgrade first.
Nice. Well, we got questions coming in. Let's take a few. Nathan Style from Biloxi, Mississippi wants to know, will there be ranged attacks in this game?
Yeah, absolutely. We have you know, projectiles in the form of heads that you can tear off enemies and throw at an enemy across the room. And of course, you know, classic horror staple, the shotgun is making a return. So you can load up this bad boy and, you know, blast some zombies to smithereens.
AJ Gosal from Toronto wants to know about online or co-op. Anything you can tell us about that?
We will have downloadable content, but the nature of the character and the mechanics doesn't really lend itself to multiplayer. So we made a decision early on to focus on the single player experience and really make that as compelling as possible.
Jimmy from Windsor, California, that may be Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I don't know, one of those Windsors. He wants to know, can your head grow back? I guess if you get decapitated, you're dead, but the save system go back to your last save, or how's that work?
Yeah, it'll drop you back to a checkpoint or a save spot. You can't grow your head back. Once the mask is off, you got to start over.
I'm surprised someone hadn't asked this yet, so I'll ask it. What's your favorite Splatterhouse kill in this game? Explain it to us.
Yeah, there's a lot of great ones. It's kind of hard to pick one, but there's one where you grab a guy and you're just like milking his head. You're just crushing it and crushing it, and this blood is just spewing out until eventually it pops and you get this geyser. That's just ridiculous.
What was that design meeting like where you're like, let's come up with the kills. I want to milk some guy's head.
That's right. Yeah, it's they're pretty entertaining conversations. You know, a lot of the team is, you know, they're all normal-looking guys. You know, nobody looks like a psychopath, but the stuff that comes out of their mouth.
No psychopath looks like a psychopath.
Of course. But then, yeah, the conversations that we have is just, they're ridiculous. It's really been a lot of fun. Really letting your imagination go wild and let your inner demon come out in a lot of ways, you know.
Absolutely. Artur Borges, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Brazil. He's asking about difficulty. What kind of difficulty levels are we talking about?
Yeah, we're going to have a wide range of difficulty levels, and you can play through normal and unlock the additional, you know, insane modes and whatnot. So it'll definitely be challenging. We want the players to keep coming back. And the original games were pretty unforgiving. You know, they were quarter crunchers at the time. So we have a lot of kind of side-scrolling levels as well that we've introduced as a nod to the original games. And those are pretty challenging right there.
Which, by the way, the original 3 games are actually in this game to unlock. So if you're new to Splatterhouse, this is the great time to get into Splatterhouse because you'll get the whole suite of the games. But if you're an old fan, you've got those original games as well to enjoy.
The complete Splatterhouse experience.
Exactly.
But you unlock those, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So it's playable on the show floor here? People getting their hands on it?
Down
Nice.
at the Namco booth, and yeah, it's been really encouraging to watch. You know, we've been working on it a long time, a great team of guys working on it, and to watch people really having fun and giggling along with all the blood and nonsense we got going, it's been a treat.
It's amazing what extreme violence brings out in people. All you can do is laugh. You either laugh or you throw up.
Yeah, and we, you know, we try not to take ourselves too seriously with the violence. You know, it's very tongue-in-cheek, very 80s kind of horror, you know, early Peter Jackson, you know, Dead Alive kind of Evil Dead.
You got these little set pieces where you're slamming these guys on it. What are those? Are those chairs of some sort?
Yeah, those are impalement points, basically the most uncomfortable seat in the house. A lot of our puzzles are really kind of lock and key, but the enemies themselves become the key, and the impalement points become the lock mechanism. So the obstacles become more combat centric and more organic.
These guys are about to get fried in the microwave.
There you go.
That
Pop.
happens.
Nothing beats
Microwave, that's what's
incineration.
gonna happen. So is there puzzle solving? That looks like there's some, maybe?
Yeah, we try to break up the gameplay so it's not just complete, you know, thumb-numbing kind of beat 'em up all the time. So we have wide variety. Like I mentioned, the side-scrolling levels breaks it up a little bit. We have some of these combat-centric puzzles and some other kind of jumping navigation, platforming elements, which again, like, brings you back to the original games, you know?
All right, guys. Well, the final question, of course, is when are we all going to be physically ill and made sick and throwing up in a good way by Splatterhouse?
Yeah, we're looking to be on the shelves fall 2010 on the PS3 and Xbox 360.
All right, Dan, Jason, thanks so much for being here. Splatterhouse coming very soon. We'll be right back with more live coverage of E3 2010.